Good afternoon, and Good Friday to you all. I was reflecting this morning on why do we call it Good Friday? Why don't we call it Bad Friday, right? It's a time of, it's a remembrance of something that I think most people would consider very unhappy and sad. Certainly we could say it was a time in Jesus' life and in this experience of all of us living this message, of having it as a practical message, that it would be something that we'd want to probably avoid talking about because, it's not pretty. It's not the glorious time we'll talk about on Sunday. But this is what's so valuable about being on a spiritual path, is that we see the good, the value in everything. So this service today, this time together is exactly that, is looking for the good, even in the times that are painful, even in the times that we don't understand. So I'm very inspired that you all are here today, because this is the spiritual warriors that show up for this kind of conversation. So welcome. We have a few things to say before the service starts. The first thing is that on Sunday at 10, we'll have our Easter service, so you can come in person. We will be inside, we'll be outside. There is an Easter bonnet contest, because you know what? We're certainly not going to take ourselves too seriously on this spiritual path. So be creative. I know many of you have those artist creative juices going on in you, so we'll have some prizes. And so that's going to be Easter morning. And let us see here. Oh, yes, so for the love offering, we won't be having a specific love offering experience during this time. So if you are motivated or you feel like you want to share your generosity with Unity of Santa Barbara, there'll be boxes out here, and I think one in the back also. And of course, you can always, if you're online watching, you can always go to our donate button on our website or on the Givelify app. So let's just take a breath together. Yeah, and just let yourself exhale and come into this space, arrive, as it is said. Allow the chair on which you're sitting to support you, and see the chair as life supporting you, as the universe saying, I've got your back. So let's breathe in again, feeling that sense of support, and you can just exhale, even with an just relaxing into this moment. Allowing ourselves to be here because we are here by divine appointment. The Christ consciousness, the Buddha nature, the love that beats your heart drew you to this time together. And your presence allows this perfect order to unfold. And so we are here together to open, to release, renew, and rejuvenate. That is already within us, but we are going to be paying attention to the things today that are heavier than we need them to be, are part of the load that we are releasing and letting go. So thank you, Spirit, for the ease and grace of this service today. And so it is. Amen. We're going to light this candle to symbolize our unity. And it is that unity, it's the unity of all of our atoms that, some of your atoms are in somebody else now. We do all this breathing and exchanging, and so being that light of the world is so valuable to remember. So we're going to say, I am the light of the world, and I'd like you to just put your hands right here on your heart area, and you can say, I am the light of the world, and feel the vibration when you say it. I am the light of the world. Yeah. All right, because this service is going to be about vibration. If you haven't known, this is a vibrational universe. There is nothing stagnant about any of us. We are vibration. And so I've asked my dear friend Sven Holcomb to be with us today. And Sven, I'm so glad you're here. I'm just blown away by this community. Everyone has these amazing gifts. I'm looking at you, Kyoko, too. These amazing gifts that I just keep saying, hey, will you share that? Will you share that? And I'm just so grateful. Sven is incredible with his ministry of healing. So we will be looking at the 7 last words of Jesus. I'll be talking about them in unity terms, in the terms of new thought, in the terms of how do we apply these words to our life. And then we'll be having an affirmation after each of these 7 sections. And then so Spin will play the bowls during each of these 7 words. So we're going to begin with a piece of music that is by Daniel Nahmod. You probably all heard it before, and it's going to be on the screen, and the lyrics are there. It's called When I Pray, all right, because we're inviting ourselves to know about prayer, and prayer is all about opening your heart. So we'll start with this, and you can just sing softly.
When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God.
I got the chills. The sweetness, right, of the heart opening, the peace of silence of not needing to push, not needing to make something happen. That really is the essence of our service right here today, right here, right now. So we've come together in the remembrance of the man named Jesus, also the consciousness that we all carry, who this day over 2,000 years ago met and finally overcame every obstacle that life on the mortal sense consciousness can present to humankind. This was the supreme test of his life here on earth, the time when he proved that humankind, having faith in God, can rise above all earthly limitations to attain spiritual perfection. We in Unity do not think of Good Friday as a day of sorrow, nor do we attempt to enter into the suffering of Jesus by emphasizing the crucifixion. Good Friday, however, is a solemn and profoundly sacred occasion. We see it as an experience in which the soul passes from sense to spiritual consciousness. It represents the crossing out of all that belongs to humankind's unspiritualized nature, the false beliefs, and the unbalanced emotions. Jesus took his place among humankind, revealing to all the light that lighteth every man and woman coming into the world. But the people didn't comprehend his words, and we still are working with comprehending spiritual awakening. And so to erase these negative states of mind that people hold back and hold them down, how to speak the word that releases us from bondage. And that's really what these 7 words are all about. So what the crucifixion means to us is unity. In unity is death or diminishing of the smaller I, so that the spiritual I, the I am, may arise triumphant. We do not meditate on the suffering and death of one man who loved humanity. Instead, we take the words he said and use them in loosening and letting go of the mortal beliefs that fasten us to limitation. Jesus' words from the cross represent steps to be taken in the redemption of the human consciousness. Throughout his life on earth, he taught these steps, and his words from the cross reveal and sum up the states of consciousness to be attained in the liberation of our soul. 7 times he spoke words that reveal his final emancipation from human bondage, and 4 times love, the resurrecting power, spoke through Jesus. First is forgiveness of his enemies, then as impersonal love, extending mercy and compassion to a stranger. Love in its personal aspect, protecting and tender, was expressed in his thought for his mother. And finally, his love of God burst forth in absolute truth and complete surrender. Today is our opportunity to enter into the freeing process that begins with forgiveness and ends with the surrender of the soul to its and our Father, Mother, God. So we will first affirm this experience of being willing to cross out all that does not belong to you. All right, so here's our first affirmation, and it comes up here, and we'll say this together. Can everyone see it? All right. Through the Christ in me, I can and do cross out all that does not belong to me as a child of God. We can say that one more time. Through the Christ in me, I can and do cross out all that does not belong to me as a child of God. So we begin with our first word. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I'll light a candle for each of these 7 words, and after our affirmation, we'll play. So forgiveness, we hear a lot about forgiveness, don't we? And it is an opportunity at all times, whether being cut off in traffic or some very deep relationships that may be having challenges. So as he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. None of the 4 Gospels record all the 7 words of Jesus on the cross. Each gives 1 or more, and Bible students have arranged them in a sequential order so that they may form a definitive pattern of unfoldment when considered spiritually. So the first word was, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. This is forgiveness based on understanding. One of the most destructive emotions that holds us back and down is our reluctance to forgive those who harm us. Everyone meets injustice time and again. This is an inevitable because we are in constant association with those in mortal or sense consciousness, and a sense of injustice is often felt or expressed. But I was reflecting this week when I am in the midst of family changes and emotions coming up. I heard the words of Francis of Assisi that said, "It's not really ours to be understood, but to understand." And I think Jesus's words here are really the ability to see or have a moment of compassion for other. I don't know why people see the world they do, but Lord knows they have many, many experiences before I meet them. So his words of forgive them for they know not what they do is an experience of being able to get out of this self of pushing away and being able to be willing to maybe consider how another person is experiencing it. Sometimes we mistake a person's motive and condemn where there is no condemnation deserved. Sometimes in seeking our own ends, we trample on another's rights. Sometimes the situation is reversed and we feel oppressed. The Christ within forgives. We cannot always forgive in the human consciousness, but we can rise to a higher state of mind and let the forgiving love of Christ move through us. Jesus rose above contemplation, he rose above condemnation in his understanding, see, not to be understood, but to understand, of why he'd been chosen to be presented, why he'd been chosen to be persecuted by his own people. The Jews cried, "Crucify him." They did not know they were demanding the death of the Messiah. They considered Jesus one who could destroy their religion and be a menace to their political and economic life. We act in the ignorance of the human selfishness, and Jesus, who understood this, prayed that all be forgiven. In this moment, let us forgive all toward whom we feel any resentment. Forgiveness is one of the first essentials of a loving consciousness and is necessary to our spiritual ongoing. We cannot progress with antagonism in our heart toward anyone. Let us pray silently and contemplate these words in the silence. Another affirmation. The Christ in me forgives and forgets all human hurts. By forgiving and releasing myself, I also forgive and release others. Let's say this again. The Christ in me forgives and forgets all human hurts. By forgiving and releasing myself, I also forgive and release others. And let's be with a vibrational shift as Sven plays these beautiful bowls and gongs. The second word is today shalt thou be with me in paradise. Jesus was crucified between two malefactors, one a thief whom the Roman government had condemned to death, reviled him saying, Art not thou the Christ? Save thyself and us." The other, who might have heard Jesus in the days of his ministry, declared that they were being punished for their sins, but that this man has done nothing amiss. Turning to Jesus, he said, "Jesus, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom." To this man, Jesus made the promise, "Thou shalt be with me in paradise." There's a great spiritual truth contained in these words. No matter what we have done or how far short of the spiritual ideal we have fallen, we turn to the Christ within. The promise of renewal is made. This is the grace of God. Any period of trial, we take the attitude of one or the other of these malefactors. That is, we condemn or resist. We can get stuck in the past or in the future. We can admit our error thinking and give ourselves mercy. Love is always forthcoming. God is love. And if we think of these two representatives of spirit, the staying in the past or the living into the future, we recognize that this now moment is paradise. You know, when people say, "I'm going to heaven," well, heaven is right now, however we're experiencing it. And that is what is so beautiful about this teaching, is there's not an after, you'll feel better tomorrow or next year, or boy, isn't, 2025 going to be great. It's right here and right now in this breath is paradise. And so here is our affirmation, and we'll say it twice. In faith, I turn to Christ and enter into the realization that this day I am one with my good. All right, we'll say it again. In faith, I turn to Christ, and I'd add within, and enter into the realization that this day I am one with my good. And let us vibrate into that truth. I love how the gong just keeps going, yeah? It's that vibration never stops. It's wonderful. So the third word of Jesus was, "Woman, behold thy son, and son, behold thy mother." At the foot of the cross stood Mary, the mother of Jesus, and John, the beloved disciple. Jesus never let human devotion interfere with the work he had to do. Isn't that a powerful sentence? He never let the human devotion interfere with the work he had to do. And it wasn't that he didn't care. It was that he recognized that his life, like all of ours, is beyond this human connection. It is, you must follow your heart. You must follow your knowingness. Even at the age of 12, he informed his elders, "I must be in my Father's house." However, he recognized that people have personal obligations, and he fulfilled his duty to his mother by placing her in the care of John. Tradition says that Mary lived with John the remainder of her life. There are those who have righteous claims on our lives, people that have asked you to live a certain way or do a certain thing. And it's for maybe sometimes for our care that they thought, or our protection. And we are also responsible for others, but it is a sense of choice. It is a sense of well-being for ourselves and for others. Some people make a bondage of their responsibilities and others shirk them. Jesus didn't either. He found that perfect balance which governs human relationships and reminds us at this time that we are to consider those for whose welfare we are responsible, and for in a way of finding balance in the way of taking care of ourselves while we take care of others. It doesn't really fit with the crucifixion story, but as a flight attendant, it was always said that you want to put your mask on before you help other people, right? So our opportunity to have that balance. I'm sure Jesus, the Christ consciousness is going, it's okay, Heidi, it's all right. So here is our affirmation for this section of finding balance in our relationships. And you might reflect on how sometimes you can overgive and how sometimes you can run away. So here is our affirmation. We'll say it together twice. Enfolded in the universal, all-knowing wisdom. Oops, sorry, I'm in the wrong section. Let's see. Well, we'll just read from the guide of Penny, the all-knower there. All right, so here we go. I am guided and supported as I honor my responsibilities and as I love and care for others. Let's say this again. I am guided and supported as I honor my responsibilities and as I love and care for others. The fourth word, he takes us all into times when we perhaps have felt disconnected, have felt the sense of perhaps God has left or I am disconnected, when Jesus tells us, says, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And I know that we all know of times where we're sort of saying, this was supposed to happen to me, really? I mean, when we think of the human journey of Jesus and how he came to really tell everyone, you are the light of the world, the kingdom of heaven is within you. You know, and all the words around nature, and to see nature and that it blooms and it has its glory, and so should you, that you are not nature. And then the misunderstanding and the fear that was brought up for so many people because it was such a radical message of love, that then he is killed in a extremely painful and horrible way. And this experience that how is this divine order? You know, how is God in this? And this is a wonderful teaching of my God, why hast thou forsaken me? So we go deeper into it. At the 6th hour, 3:00, there was darkness over the land. For almost 3 hours, no words came from the cross. And then Jesus spoke. We should remember that crucifixion represents the crossing out of that which belongs to the mortal state of mind. And Jesus showed us how to do this. He is the divine expression itself through the human. The expression of his divinity through his humanity is Unity's teaching of the meaning of Jesus Christ in our lives, of Christ consciousness. In the fourth word, Jesus gave expression to the false belief of the human consciousness and that God has forsaken us, that we are ever left. Again, that's the old personhood of God, that God doesn't have time to pay attention to you. But as we teach here, God is within. So there's a forgetting, and then there's a remembering. And so we don't end, this wasn't the last of these words. It's a place of knowing that it is natural in the human condition to feel disconnected from time to time. It's so easy for in our humanness to feel forsaken when God is who we are. So we repeat these words as Jesus remembered and took the human consciousness and lifted it up to the realization of the omnipresence of love. So here is our next affirmation. We'll say it together 2 times, and it starts with, now I don't know, it's not on the slide, but I'd like y'all to say, the love of God comforts me. Let's say that. The love of God comforts me. And then this one, the almighty power of God within strengthens me in this hour. All right? The love of God comforts me. The almighty power of God within strengthens me in this hour. The fifth word is I thirst. The one merciful act shown Jesus while he was on the cross was the sponge soaked with vinegar that a Roman soldier raised to Jesus' lips. The body must be released from its attachment to the physical and be known for what it really is, the temple of the living God, sustained by the living water of spirit. If Jesus' mind was dwelling on the scriptures, as the fourth word would seem to indicate, from Psalm 143, I thirst, might have been a reference to my soul thirsts for you like a parched land. Answer me quickly, O God. And this is our opportunity as our body needs what it needs. We are spirit and housed in a body that needs care. And that also we are releasing that we are only body, that's for sure, but the ability to thirst for spirit. As much as we thirst for the ways that we take care of our body, that we really have a thirst for spirit, a thirst for this consciousness to come together, this community. I thirst. The physical suffering of humanity and rising above it, Jesus released humankind from bodily pain. Even as our body cries, I thirst, there is within us now the realization that we may taste of the living water and be revived. And that's what Jesus taught to the woman at the well. When she said, there's no water in this well, he says, well, if you drink from this consciousness, you will never be thirsty again. So drinking from the living water of spirit. Our affirmation is, I drink of the living water of spirit and every need of my body is fulfilled. So that will come up in a moment. There you go. So, well, you know what? let's see. Okay, that one looks good too. All right, so we'll say this twice, all right? Through Spirit, my body is filled with divine health. One more time. Through Spirit, my body is filled with divine health. You can see the variety of affirmation, and it is all good. So let us be in the vibration of the bowls. The sixth word is the word of surrender. And not surrender in the way of giving up or running away. The surrender of allowing what needs to happen in life to happen. Have you noticed how little control you have over life? And how really wonderful that is when you start considering if I was to make this thing up or let somebody else. So Jesus says, Father, it is finished. And the idea that God's work is being completed from the beginning. We live in that perfect universe, which is the creation of divine mind. Nothing that we can say or do changes the truth that in spirit we live and move and have our being. And that's why you'll find that these inspirations you have are to be followed, and you get to notice how people and events show up that were not in your control. And so there's a way of surrendering to the greater purpose. And so it is finished means that I can be finished of trying to poke at life and trying to follow up at all times and have this sense of trust. We need not strive or struggle or painstakingly attempt to establish perfection. It comes outwardly as the result of our realization that God completed the perfect work in you. When God made us, or we co-created, we were made in the image of God, of life energy. It remains for us to behold the finished creation of who we are and the wholeness. Not the giving up or stopping, but in the sense of we are being supported by this universe. So we have another affirmation about being whole, being complete, being entire as we've been created. So let's see what this this one matches mine. This is great. Okay, this is so funny. God bless us all with this beautiful kind of creation of surrender and of forgiveness. All right, so let's say this together twice. I am created as a perfect, whole, and entire being, and God's work is finished. I give thanks as I behold Spirit's perfection in my body, mind, and affairs. And thank you for letting me say it however I'm seeing it. Let's say it one more time. I am created as a perfect, whole, and entire being, and God's work is finished. I give thanks as I behold Spirit's perfection in my mind, body, and affairs. And let us rest in that truth with Sven's vibrations. We feel grateful for these teachings. We feel grateful for these communities of new thought that take Jesus out of being the exception and bring him into being the example. These teachings that allow us to move from this human consciousness to a spiritual freedom. And we've all been present to it today. We've looked at forgiveness. We've looked at relationships. We've looked at the ability to thirst for spirit. We've looked at the idea of feeling like we've been forsaken, which is never true. We've looked at this experience of surrendering to the order of things, of trusting, of allowing, and the idea also that there's nothing that can be added or taken away from you, that you are born in this perfection. You always have been that, and you always will be that. And so we come into community to remember this truth and to let ourselves transform into something that's more and more true and light and real, and that vibration. You know, we don't make this earth move. We don't make it rotate. We don't do, but it is happening. And that to me is the message of this idea of crucifixion, that we are able to cross out as we are willing. And then we can see this experience of Jesus being a great and a very profound. That's why we're still talking about it 2,000 years later, of how it is such a profound teaching for all of us every day. And so we will end, as we end, we will have some more of Sven's playing. I would like you to recognize that I'd like you to be with these teachings for the next day. I call this tomb time, to have some time in the tomb of your own consciousness, of perhaps taking some time after this service to let this resonate and marinate in you as you look at these extremely profound teachings and see in your life where there's some healing happening, there's some transformation happening. And then Easter will all be in bloom. We'll be coming out into the world in that big sense of just like all the flowers. But take your time. I think we can tend to want to rush into, okay, that was finished. Now on to the next thing. And I'd like you to be with what we've created here today, this beautiful container, and you online also. All right? So the last of these words, as I say it, we won't have an affirmation. Sven will just play, and then you can sit in here as long as you want. There'll be some music playing, and then just you go on out into this amazing moment of your life. The seventh and the last word is complete surrender to Father, Mother, God, as we say here. The whole of our spiritual growth is to enable us to come to this point in complete surrender, the giving of ourselves into Spirit's hands, or giving way to the universal flow that is good. That's why we call this Good Friday. When we cast aside the mortal self, we give God a chance to move through us, and God never fails to do God's part. Less of me and more of thee. Can we say that together? Less of me and more of thee. And we mean thee, that higher consciousness in you. As we take the final step of surrendering ourselves to God, our entire being is caught up, as it were, by the mighty power of the indwelling Spirit. We have finished the process of crossing out, and we will be with that for a few days, and the resurrecting power of Spirit we'll be with on Easter morning. We're bringing about the integration of the human with the divine. I thank you all for coming. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, big stuff is happening. So I invite us to put our palms up, and you can put them in your lap. This final word of Jesus he uses the word Father, but you can use the word God. You can use the word Spirit. And I'll say it once, and then let's repeat this together. All right? So, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Again, whatever words you'd like to use for Father or God. So here we go together. Father, God, into thy hands I commend my spirit. One more time. Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit.